And the Oscar goes to...
One can never say Oscar wasn't eclectic. Just the year before today's film won an Academy Award for Best Picture, an optimistic, joyful movie made cinemagoers smile during the dark days of World War II. So isn't it interesting that at the first Oscar ceremony to take place after the war, the top prize was given to a film that could hardly be bleaker if it tried. It was The Lost Weekend, which took a hard and serious look at the effects of alcoholism, a topic that hadn't been tackled by Hollywood before. So different was the film for its time that initial test audiences reacted poorly. The director Billy Wilder even said the people at one screening laughed throughout the whole film, with many leaving before it was over. Paramount considered shelving the film permanently, but gave it a limited release after positive words started coming from private screenings. Quickly, audiences started flocking to the film in the few cities it had been sent. Paramount then gave it a wide release, and the movie went on to receive enormous accolades from the Academy, 7 Oscar nominations, which included a win for its lead actor, and 2 for Billy Wilder, one as director and one as co-writer with his partner Charles Brackett, and it is one of only 2 movies to win a Best Picture Oscar and the top prize at the Cannes Film Festival. The only major groups that didn't like the film were alcoholic companies, which begged the studio not to release the movie because they were afraid of it hurting their sales, and, oddly enough, temperance groups, which somehow saw the film as promoting alcohol use. Our story is based on a novel by Charles Jackson and follows struggling New York writer Don Burnham, played by Ray Milland, who thinks he reached his peak as a writer when he was 19. Ever since, he's been plagued with a terrible writer's block that won't let him finish anything he starts, which leads to the beginnings of his alcoholism. Don's brother Wick, played by Philip Terry, has helped Don through the past 6 years of his drinking problem. He's paid his rent, consoled him, and even lied for him. But after Don goes out drinking the day he and his brother are supposed to leave for an alcoholic rehabilitation facility, Wick has had enough and leaves his brother to his own deadly devices. Don's girlfriend Helen, played by Jane Wyman, hasn't given up on him yet, however. After Don goes on his long trip to the bar, Helen waits all night outside his apartment, calls him constantly, and tries desperately to save him from himself as he drinks his way through a terrible weekend of alcohol, lying, begging, stealing, hallucinating, and even a trip to the alcoholic ward of a New York hospital. Desperate to find another drink at any cost, we see Don fall past the bottom and into a vicious circle of nightmarish addiction.
And what? How does it come out?
I don't know. I haven't figured that far.
Want me to tell you? One day a guy gets wise to himself and gets back that gun. Or he's only got $1.10, he goes to the top of the Empire State Building, way up on top. And then, I could do it for a nickel in the subway under a train.
You think so, Nat? What if Helen is right and this guy sits down and turns out something good, but good, and then pulls him up and snaps him out of it?
This guy? Not from where I sit.
Oh, shut up, Nat. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. It's all there. You heard it.
Yes, Mr. Boynan.
That's why I didn't go away that weekend, see? So I can be all alone up there and sit down on my typewriter. This time I'm going to do it, Nat. I'm going to do it.
Now comes the part that I had a hard time writing. I found it so difficult because I have almost nothing to say about this movie. People may find it hard to believe, but I was not moved by the film at all, which is strange. The depiction of alcoholism is frank and realistic. It shows all the negatives in all their dramatic and horrific detail. Milland, who was known as a comedic and romantic actor before he did this movie, is throwing everything he's got at the role, accurately portraying the hysteria, desperation, and loose morals of a serious addict.
You had another bottle, you know you did. Where did you put it? You aren't crazy. Where did you put it?
It's certainly an important work for its informative and uncompromising look at something that affects so many. It just didn't hit me like it did and has so many others. I've been racking my brain to discover why that's the case, and I think I've hit on the reason. Milland does a credible job with the alcoholic side of his character, but we don't see much of the good man getting lost in the countless booze bottles. A few characters talk about how he's charming, polite, and funny, but we rarely see it for ourselves. The only time we see a hint of what's being destroyed is in a flashback where we see the early days of Don's addiction and his first meeting with Helen, where he's initially rude but later lightens up and acts nice to her. In this scene, I could see a man that a woman like Helen would want to date. Sadly, we also see the seeds of Don's immoral behavior that's brought about by his need to consume more drink. Both the good Don and the bad Don are wonderfully and subtly played by Milland.
Oh, by the way, are you coming to hear Lohengrin next week?
I don't know.
Because if you are, I'm not letting this coat out of my hands.
Don't worry.
Oh, but I do. You know, to be really safe, we should go together.
We could. Who threw that?
Fell out of my pocket.
Do you always carry those things?
Well, no. You see, that friend of mine, the one uptown, he has a slight cold, and I thought I'd take this along and make him a hot toddy.
We'll see that he gets a hot lemonade and some aspirin.
I shall.
Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, Miss St. James.
Yes,
What kind of a party was that you asked me to?
a cocktail party.
Invitation still stand?
Of course, come on.
During the rest of the movie, however, the good qualities don't seem genuine. They come off as put on, or like a cunning ploy to manipulate people so you can get more liquor. No other moments were able to give me a good sense of what was being lost, except for the film's last scene, at which point it was too late. If the movie had shown more of what Don was like before the drink found him, the man that is still there deep down, I would have reacted in a similar way as Helen. Oh my god, no Don, you're a talented and good person. Don't lose yourself in this. And then proceed to get wrapped up in the tension as he continually gets lost in all the booze and scene after scene. But that being absent, the tense scenes didn't do anything except educate me on the dangers of alcoholism. It's too bad, because I feel like the images, issues, and emotions on screen should be putting me through the ringer and moving me, but they don't. I actually felt less emotion towards this film than any other in this series. That may not make me very popular amongst the fans of this movie, but such is the diversity of opinion. If you like it, great. It's not bad by any means, and it's an important film to watch. People, especially those who have or know someone suffering from this terrible addiction, should see it at least once. For me, well, Gene Siskel once said that it takes courage to be a film critic, and tell the majority I didn't see it. I think I saw it, but I don't think I felt it, which is why this won't be topping my favorites anytime soon.